Hey lads, Galaxy Boy, welcome back to Minecraft, and today we're going to, discuss, oh, it's nighttime, we're going to discuss how to upgrade a starter house. So, the one I'm living in is it's fine, it's totally fine, but, you know, this is kind of small, and over time you want to make a house bigger. And this video is going to show you how to make this specific house, like your starter house, bigger and better and more useful. But before I do that, I need to get some more materials. I need to get better armor, and I also need to get to other biomes, get more resources and things like that. Basically, I just need to get more infrastructure before I start making huge plans. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I managed to get quite a few resources, mostly copper, some other materials, some diamonds. I managed to get some mud and clay and a single piece of dripstone, and a couple other materials here, leaves and such. And I am going to not show you what I'm building, but show a different thing that is very helpful when you're building larger builds, and that would be dirt. I just totally blanked out. That would be dirt and scaffolding, because a while back I did get some what is it? Some bamboo, and I'm going to craft that into some scaffolding, and I'm also going to grab some cobblestone with me. And I'm not going to show you the build. I'll do that, and then I'll do a bit of a time lapse of the build, of the actual build. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you how scaffolding and dirt and things like this can be useful for marking out parts of your build before you actually build it. Because with a small build like this, you don't really need to scaffold things out and to like visualize it more. You can just build it and go, kind of, because this is a very simple shape. It's just a rectangle on a rectangle. Whereas if you're building more than just a rectangle on a rectangle, it would be helpful to know exactly where you want to build before you actually start building. So, let's get into it. Oh, and before I get on with the mock-up of the bigger house, I am going to do a bit of terraining and raise up like a levee here around this area here. Mostly because this area is a bit of a slope, and I want to bring this house out a bit further. And so I'm going to bring up this terrain here and connect it up there, and fill this whole thing in. Before I do that, just to give myself a bit more space. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Don't you love Minecraft rain? Anyway, so this is finished for now. And this might look weird from here, but if you look at the stone bricks on the side, you get the impression that this is a terrace, and that the land is raised on purpose, and rather to not just like some strange flat area that isn't supposed to be there. I'm gonna do some detailing here. I just don't have the granite to do it. But right now, what I want to do is I want to get going on the actual build, the upgraded house, you know, because it's been a long time since I've gotten to do something like this, and I'm excited for it. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to raise these pillars up here higher to make the house look bigger, of course. And this is the reason why I like scaffolding a lot, is because I can see from, like, here if this is good height. And when I'm down there, it's hard to see if that's tall enough. But up here, I can. Another thing I will be doing is I will be extending this by at least 2. So that way it's still even. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in between here, and then I'm raising this up here to the same level as the other pillar. Perfect. Drop down. I'm also gonna I'm gonna embed this further into the wall, pulling this back here. I would say around here would be good. The next thing I want to do is extend this side of the wall, side of the house, over to the very end here, and bring it up to a similar height. The next thing I want to do is I want to add a bit of shape to this thing, because currently it's very boxy and triangular. Also, I'm also gonna get rid of that tree. It's cool there, but it might interfere with what I'm going to do, which is unfortunate. But that will not stop me. I'm going to add a little curvature here and see if I can add a porch to the area. I might have to extend these front pillars somewhere up here, just to get a bit of a bit more space to make the round shape. But I think it will look really nice. And it's gonna be backed up by another portion of the wall, a portion of the house that's gonna be behind here and connect up with this thing here. And that's what I'm envisioning here. And as I'm going to bed, I'm going to explain something that it's totally cool. Like it's really important to me that I envision things before I do them, because then I save a lot of time in the actual process of it, right? Because what I'm doing here, when I'm doing these pillars here like this, what it allows me to do is kind of visualize things before I actually put all the materials in here. And that's monumental to getting the right look for your house. Marking out the shape alone is super important, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Alright, so after leveling this out here and drawing a line with these dirt blocks that I've converted to grass, I have a good idea of where I want this porch to be. And I'm going to create a little, like, copy of this line here, up here. To, kind of, I don't know. Words. Totally, words. Anyway, I'm doing the thing. Alright. Okay, so, pretty much, I think I'm done doing the scaffolding portion of this, this upgrade. And I think I'm ready to start building. And this is exactly what I mean by how these, by placing all this dirt can be really helpful, because you can kind of already see what I'm going for, and I haven't built any of it. Like, not a single bit has been built, but you can kind of understand what I'm going for by seeing the shape of the original house and seeing the dirt outlines. And this is what I mean by it being very important to get to do this stuff. It'll save you a lot of time. But it is time for me to do a time lapse and get this thing built. Alright, let's get into it. Wow, wasn't that a great time lapse? Just kidding, it was a pretty normal one. So yes, this is how the house will look. And right now, live, I will attempt to make this a bit better. Like in terms of the details, like of course I did a few details here and there, like adding jungle wood to the bottom parts of these walls, just to break up the color a bit. But as you can see, like, around here there are just a lot of blank walls that just don't, you know, look like a whole lot, like over here and stuff. And of course, I'll do the interior another day. Yeah, it's not pretty, but it'll be pretty in the next episode, I promise. So yeah, let's just get into it. Detailing this thing. Now first, I'm going to add a strip of stripped oak logs here, right in front of the house, right here. Now this may seem weird, but I promise you, it's going to break up the build a lot in terms of like colors and textures and stuff, and I'll explain why without actually having to explain anything. Now if you see here, that line of stripped oak, just, you know, it adds a bit more noise to it and breaks up this wooden plank texture. Because if you look back here, you'll notice that the plank texture kind of like, it begins to suck. It just starts to look weird at a distance, and breaking up the texture makes it look a little less strange. It has to do with the striations of these things, since when you look back from far enough, like, it can't render every single pixel that would be there if you were looking close up. Anyway, it's some really not important jargon. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a small trim to underneath that part of the roof. I'm going to remove those inside mangrove stair blocks and replace it with stone bricks that I have in my inventory here, and I'll show you how that will look. So as you can see here now, this gap between the window and the roof now doesn't look as strange, because before it was just a kind of a connection point. Like you just see where the roof and the wall met, but now that there's a bit of a transition piece in between, it's not as odd, and I can do this on this side here, over here, just like that. And again, this is just to do it on all the roofs, that way there's a sense of unity. Oh, and by the way, I have been doing a bit of fishing in the meantime, because I didn't want to record, but I just wanted to play the world, so I just started fishing and stuff. And I've been fishing on that thing, whatever that thing is. I've been using it to fish, and so that's cool. Anyway, back to the build. And again, if you look over here, it just adds a bit of extra something. You know, I think a lot of people who aren't naturally creative, and of course that's a nebulous idea. I think everyone can be creative in different ways. Just some not in the so-called creative fields. Anyway, it becomes hard to like diagnose what needs to be done, because this isn't exactly like a thing. Like it's not exactly something that you could like say, hey, this should go here, and then you put it there, if that makes sense. It's just something that you can add. It's just something that I added to this that makes the build look better, but it's not exactly like anything in particular. It's not like, oh, you know, it's not like an essential detail that people can point out, right? By now, I don't know if I can really add too much detail to the house itself. But what I can do is add detail surrounding the house. It's really important that when building a house, you consider the details around it. And just like before, I am going to add those 7 hay bales that I had before right here, and add them to the side of the house just like I did before. Now, this seems kind of arbitrary, like, oh, it's just more hay bales, right? But just like that, this now has more of a tie to the original build, the original smaller house, because the hay bales were there and were a bigger component of this, and then it's still here, and it brings connection to it in your brain, you know, kind of like, you know, like you know, it's a small thing, but it can add a lot of uniformity to the build in its evolution from its predecessor. Oh, also, another thing. I know I keep talking about these hay bales for some reason, but in isolation, these hay bales don't actually make too much sense. Why? Because there's no wheat. There's no wheat surrounding it. Why would there be hay bales if there's no wheat in the area? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that. I'm going to make a fence here, like here. And I'm going to make a small wheat field right here. Just to make these hay bales make sense. And then the hay bales will in turn make the wheat field make sense. It's another way you can basically bind different aspects of your build together. And even if it's like just a simple like touch, like a wheat field. I mean, of course, I need wheat because, you know, it's you know, I need it for breeding cows and such, which I'm going to get in this episode. Don't worry, I'm not going to survive just on cooked salmon. But yeah. Okay, that's good enough. That'll look fine. It'll look grown in the thumbnail, I promise. Okay, so I just finished planting this thing here, this wheat field, this wheat area here. And I started punching the grass over there, way over yonder in the savanna. Like a crazy person. If you see someone in real life pulling out tufts of grass in a field, you know they're crazy. Anyway, I'm thinking about adding a stable right here and a fishing dock right there. And that requires me, because I'm thinking about using spruce wood, that requires me to get some spruce wood. And so yeah, I will be right back with that spruce wood. Okay, so now that we have the proper materials in order to build this stable, I'm actually thinking about moving it here, in this kind of middle area here, instead of over there. But I think either way, this would look quite nice in this area. And let's get started. You kind of always want to mark out the pillars before you destroy any landscape. So I know I could easily level this like area out here, but I'd rather not just for now, before I make a mistake and have to like guess where the landscape used to be, if that makes sense. You never want to like have to do that sort of thing. And so this horse stable is gonna be quite long. I want to have like at least like 3 little slots for horses or donkeys and stuff. And then this is gonna be just a bit far back, not too much. Let's actually rotate this the correct way. And then, of course, the last pillar should be around here. Yeah, I think this is good. And once you basically confirm your dimensions for your build, that's when you can start building. In fact, I actually might bring this back just a bit, like 2 blocks, I would say, just in case. And then I'm going to check to see if this is a 1 block center or a 2 block center, just to see. In a build like this, it might actually be worth it to do a 2 block center, because there's gonna be like 2 halves to it. There's gonna be an A roof here, and then it's gonna go back down. So I don't exactly know I think a 2-block center would actually be better. So, and for this build here, I'm going to bring these pillars back here up higher, because this is where the A roof is going to be, and this other area is going to have like a slab roof, like some sort of on it. Okay, now that we have all the dimensions and the framework kind of laid out for us, now we can start taking out this land here. You just always want to do it that after you are like 100% sure the dimensions are correct or what you want. Okay, now that all the pillars are in place, I'm going to strip these logs instead of keeping the bark on. I think it's going to be cleaner, and yeah, I prefer the look of stripped spruce logs over the unstripped version, generally speaking. So just like the house over here, this is going to have a mangrove plank trim to keep the unity, to keep a sense of theming with this this area of the world. I think it's, I mean, this is to personal taste, really, but I do think it's important to have a sense of unity within your builds a lot of the time, and to know when like areas of your world kind of like clash and collide and stuff, and you can use things like this to make sure that doesn't happen. So now that we have this portion of the roof done, this fits perfectly in line with this style of build, right? But to differentiate it a bit, I think I'm going to, instead of using birch, stripped birch log for this slab part, I don't know what you call this part. It's a bit of a, it's less of a slope on the roof. I'm going to use a different material, and I think I'm going to use stone bricks. It is up there too, along with that build, but not to the same degree as this would be, because you'll see this portion of the roof a lot more than you'll see that. Just like that. Now you see that the stone bricks here are much more in your face, kind of, than the birch. The birch is almost an afterthought. In terms of the visual space the stone bricks take up in comparison to the birch. Whereas with this one, the birch is much more prominent than the stone bricks. So now that the sides of this the house portion of this stable are filled in, we can do things similar to what we did over here to break up textures. Such as here, I'm probably going to replace this a strip of oak planks here with stripped oak logs. And since they're the same texture, just like over here, it's going to blend in pretty well, but the texture is going to be different, and so it's more visually interesting. Now, what might be interesting is using mangrove roots. For a bit of a side here, instead of using fences the whole way around, I'm thinking of using these mangrove roots, because they're kind of a similar color to the spruce logs here, but they're a bit darker, and you can still see through them, but they're a bit messier than, like, say, these fences, right? And so I think they might be a bit of an interesting addition to this. I'm going to fill in the underneath of this too, so it's a bit more clean. Although it's not perfect, I don't have the materials to completely texture this this ground here to make it look more like a horse stable, but I do think it looks fine for now. And probably in the next episode I'll get that done. But not now. There's a donkey! Come here! Come here! Come here! Love me! This is absurd. Yes! There's a cat! There's a cat. I need a cat. I need a cat. I need a cat. Yes! You're mine now. Your name is Boris, and you're gonna sit tight next to the donkey. Look at it, on like that terrace up there, telling me to place a saddle upon thine back. Why are you in the hole? No! Don't suffocate yourself. What's wrong with you? Get out of the hole. And you're never going back in the hole, by the way. Oh! You're tamed! Oh, you are the slowest horse ever. Like, you? Oh, you're a fast one. Oh! Yo! Okay, this is the horse. Alright, now let's get these guys in here. And and oh my god. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I did the pathway, or the floor here, and I did the interior of the, hey, you can sit down. And I did a lot of the interior work in the house, because let's be real here, this is a survival building, not do things another day building. Bonk, Stompy, and one was Grumptus. Bonk, Stompy, Grumptus. We'll have a fourth soon, and by soon I mean probably after the day after. And you will be named. You know what? I'll let the viewers decide the name of this one. This may be a horrible decision. This may be a terrible, terrible decision. But whatever the comments say, whichever comment I like the most, I'll make that the name. Okay. Now on to the fishing dock over there, replacing that weird like little pimple on the landscape. So this build is taking quite a lot of inspiration from the fishing shack in Drieton's season 10 Hermitcraft season or series, utilizing a lot of cool techniques that I like and I think are interesting. And I mean, of course, if you don't know Drieton, I mean, I don't know what rock you live under, but it certainly isn't a hollow one. So the first thing that needs to be done is we need to make the dock. I think I'm going to make it a little raised off the ground, for now at least. And I think I'm going to grab some spruce and make the dock portion out of spruce planks. And then the logs are going to be the pillars are going to be those stripped jungle logs. They're not stripped yet, but they will be. You know, I actually think I like the unstripped jungle. Strangely enough, I think it would look better without it. So my process for the roof here is going to be a little different. So each build here, I have changed up the roof style, and this is gonna be no different. I'm going to initially over here start off with a slab slope. And instead of meeting in the middle with more slabs, I'm going to go on the other side, use those leaves as a bit of a bridge for now. Since they were still there, I'm going to connect it up on this other side with stairs instead. I know that sounds crazy, wild, insane, but yes, I'm doing it. Like that. And taking a step back, it's supposed to look a little uneven. And make it look a little more kind of hodgepodgey, if that makes sense. Now what I'm going to do here is not connect it like I did on that side. Over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another arch here. Another A shape. With the staircase that I have. And I think this will make it look just a little bit more interesting. And you know, it's all about that visual interest. Okay, so that roof is looking pretty good to me. It's a little cobbled up there, as you can see. And that was definitely the point. I was trying to go for more of a fishing shack look, but it's just a little bit more prestigious than just some, you know, barely hanging together, you know, fishing shack. So just something a little better than that. So now that we have a pretty good exterior for, well, I guess it's all exterior. We have a pretty good actual structure here. It is time to just do a few decorative things, such as putting like a crafting table here, which will also be useful. Some barrels in various various positions, and kind of just throw it about. Not there. And yeah, one thing I can do is put a composter here, because it just kind of looks like a bin. And you know, there are probably bins around fishing docks and such. But I will add a fun little thing here with these trapdoors, and flick them all up, and put water inside to make it look like a filled barrel of water, and things like that. Oh, also some lights. Okay, I'll get some lanterns. Hold on. Okay, cool. So that is pretty much the fishing dock finished. Of course, you know, as you play Minecraft, you will make small additions here and there. Like, you know, once you're done with a build, you aren't actually done. You can come back to it whenever you want. Minecraft's an open world game. You can do whatever the heck you want, whenever you want. You're not on a time limit. And so, yeah, okay, so that is pretty much this episode taken care of. Let's go over to this island here to get a good view of what we've built. And yeah, to summarize, when you're upgrading your house, right? Not only are you wanting to get the house itself done, but you know, it's also important to get other surrounding builds put out there too. And of course your house is gonna be the most important thing, but you know, having a stable or a fishing dock, you know, will certainly make your world look a bit more fleshed out and more I'm on a time limit now. It'll look a bit more fleshed out, and of course it'll look like you spent more time in there, and it'll look, more lived in, if that makes sense. Because I mean, think about this, right? Imagine if it was just this one house here, right? Of course, it's a pretty decent house, at least in my opinion. But without these two builds, it only looks like I've built a house and then kind of just left, right? But now that I have the horse stable, as well as the fishing dock, I think it looks a little bit more whole. Let me try that again. I fucking suck at this shit. So yeah, I think this will be the I'll call it here for the episode. So just to summarize, we have not only upgraded our house, we have also built 2 new buildings right next to it. And the main takeaway here, aesthetically speaking, is that each of these builds have something that ties them to each other, right? Now, the most obvious example here is the mangrove trim along all these different houses and different structures, but also some other features like using stone bricks and stuff, and general shapes. And that's really important if you are building, your base. Using similar features will do a lot to connect each build and make it look like one cohesive area. And that's really important to consider when you're building your own houses and your own structures and stuff. And so, yeah, that will be it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I will see you lads later. Take care.